The following documentary aims to describe the history behind the Iron Curtain, a wall that has not only separated families, but also worlds. The Berlin Wall is a symbol of the division caused by political games. It is a monument of infringed human rights and many civil lives gone, of possibilities taken away and lives never lived. But it's also a story of the power of the collectiveness of a whole society. The Berlin Wall is still standing strong today and is a monument of the strength, power and pride of the German people.
So, hello, my name is Matei Zamfir. I am here today with Nicola, a very respected history student.
Yes.
And today's topic will be the Great Berlin Wall. Thanks for coming, Nicola.
Thank you very much for the invitation. It's a pleasure for me to discuss this topic, and quite frankly, it's one of my favorite topics in the modern history.
Okay, so let's get right into it. So, what can you tell me about the history behind the Great Berlin Wall?
It's a great question. Thank you for asking me. And it's actually one of my favorite topics because it shows a really nice transition from the consequences during the World War II and the Cold War, which it's a really complicated period for the modern history. But after the World War II, Germany was on the losing side, and one of the consequences for them was that their territory was divided into two parts, the eastern and the western, and both parts were under a different influence. The eastern part was given to the Soviet Union, and the western part was ruled by the Brits, by France and the United States of America. And after this division occurred, many of the people from the eastern part of Germany fled to the western part, and that was we're talking about respected doctors, architects, teachers, everything. So in 1961, the Soviet Union decided that they had enough. They're not gonna let people with visas go to the western part, so what they did actually was build the wall, the Berlin Wall that we know today, which was around 12 feet tall, with landmines and with wire, so virtually no one could escape. And there were many people that tried to do that, but there were a lot of casualties for trying to cross the wall, and this period lasted for around almost 30 years, when in 1989 the Berlin Wall fell.
So, what can you tell us about the influence that the Berlin Wall has today? Like, why is it a symbol?
So I think it's really important to see it as from three point of views. The first one being that it's a symbol of division. It was a symbol of not only division of the German people and the German nation. It's a symbol of dividing the whole world, essentially. Me coming from a Eastern European country, my parents, for example, they didn't have the opportunity that I have right now to go abroad and study because of the Berlin Wall, because of that division between the Eastern and the Western Bloc. And it's actually a division that it was not only for a year or two, it lasted more than 2 decades. So it's a really nice story about that. The second thing that should come to the people's mind when they see the Berlin Wall, it's a story of reunification. It was a story of brave people that went through a lot. They fought for their rights, they fought for their freedom, and at the end of the day they achieved it. And it is a great story, modern day story about people coming together and fighting for their freedom.
Fighting for their rights, of course.
Of course, yeah. And I think the third really important thing that the Berlin Wall shows is the pride that the German nation has in history. There are many occasions in the history where Germany did not do the right thing. it was not seen as the right, uh, yeah, they were
The
doing
right actions at the moment,
some of the and we all know
You
the
mean
World War
the tragedy?
II,
Yeah, the tragedy. of
the
war.
Holocaust, and all those things. But the German nation never backed down from their history. They always took it as everything that happened was either a lesson for them or a memory for them, which is a really nice thing because it shows culturally how Germans are really strong and proud of what they are right now.
But you can also say they're positive.
Of course.
Transforming all those
Of course, yeah.
experiences, memories
Yeah, of course. It's
into a positive outcome.
yeah. For example, in my country, we had a similar monument, not a wall, of course, but a historical monument from the communist regime, which was destroyed when the democratic regime
Of
came
course.
to life. And I don't essentially think that it's a good thing to destroy your history because at the end of the day, you learn from the history that you have. So I think it's a really nice story about division, reunification, and pride of what you were, what especially what you are right now, because it's and we can see nowadays many people see the Berlin Wall as that, the symbol of freedom, the symbol of, and quite frankly, I can say that if the Berlin was not destroyed, the European Union that we have right now would not exist.
Of course, yes.
So
thank you very much for your time.
you're more than welcome.
It was a wonderful interview.
It was pleasure for me
Yes.
as well.